Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Marianne Mozak from Ascend. This is Sexual Risk Avoidance Education in Northeast Ohio. Where are you located, Marianne?
Our office is in Washington, D.C. We're located at 1701 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Oh, and yet we somehow have the program in our area because that's...
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. Does this mean that this program is being accepted nationwide?
Oh, absolutely. Ascend is actually a national organization, and we support sexual risk avoidance educators across the country. So we have, educators in every single state and programs. Some of the programs are financed through what our Congress has voted as Title V funding, and it's specifically set aside for sexual risk avoidance education.
And we do know that that is available and very welcome in our local schools. The Sold Out program that's offered by Pregnancy Choices, we're very, very proud of that program and very appreciative of them doing just a great, great job. Sexual risk avoidance has some interesting activities. You bring it in because you're working with some middle schoolers who are, I would think, would just giggle as soon as you come in and tell them what you're there to talk about. So what are some of the activities, age appropriate, that you take into these classrooms and do with the students?
Well, in terms of activities, there's all kinds. There's probably, I don't want to say all kinds, but there are many sexual risk avoidance education curricula that are out there that do a number of different activities that help students to make the message concrete for them. So you might start out with an exercise in helping students identify their goals and dreams. So if I want to be, a professional athlete or a veterinarian, or if I want to own a coffee shop or whatever, if I want to grow, herbs and have a health food store, whatever their dreams are, and they have their aspirations are really broad. The world's a big place. It's been opened up to them, and so they want to do all kinds of things. And then you help them back that up, step by step. What's it going to take for you to go to, veterinary school?
Right.
Well, gosh, first I have to graduate from high school so that I can actually then go to and then when I'm in college, I'm going to have to, And so you help them know the steps and you break it down for them so they can actually see. And they work out that plan themselves. And some of them get very, very excited about putting that plan into paper and seeing the reality. Because,
nice.
It's very easy to say, oh, I want to be a professional athlete.
Right.
But how many hours is that going to take to practice every day, do you think? And you let them come up with all of that. So those kind of exercises are really good to do.
You take this through what age group? Does it go into the college, young adult age group?
Yes, we do have some programs that are especially to college freshmen. When college or freshmen are introduced into college, they typically have an orientation. And we have some programs. There's one very good one in Arkansas, a group called Choosing to Excel, and they actually speak to the incoming freshmen about avoiding sexual activity and the consequences, and the need for academic success and keeping on track, etc.
That seems to be a particularly vulnerable age group because they're on their own. They're really on their own for the first time, living away from home, tucking themselves in for the first time, and that there's all kinds of opportunities and all kinds of temptation out there during that age group. Do we know how successful these programs are with the college students?
We have not done independent research on college students that I can say, some of the statistics that I've mentioned before. We don't have that kind of hard data on college students. But one thing we do have is we have excessive amount of anecdotal reports of the whole hookup culture and the unhappiness that it has created on campus, especially among females.
What can you share there? I would love to hear some anecdotes.
Well, it's interesting because there's a group of Ivy League schools, and Harvard University is the home of the Love and Fidelity Network. And these are college students who are actually promoting sexual risk avoidance education on campus.
Wow.
And one of the things that they observe is that the people who, or the young people who hook up, as it were, engage in casual sex, typically the females, again, are only able to do that if they have had excessive amounts of alcohol, because it lowers their inhibitions. So that was very startling. I went to one of the meetings at Harvard and listened to these young people share their stories about even their friends who, some of them, because of just the emotional stress and fallout and pressures on them, have had to actually leave college. Okay, now that's an extreme example, and I don't mean to misrepresent in any way, but it's not. Again, we're trying to do something that is simply unnatural, and that's actually disconnect sex from relationship.
Right. And they've been able to connect the dots between alcohol and casual sex?
Yes.
And
yes,
and the students have done that themselves.
Well, I will say that the Department of Justice actually did a survey of college students, and 14% of young women said that they were sexually assaulted or forced to have sex. But more than half of them also reported that they were intoxicated when the assault happened. Yeah. So now I'm not saying that's an excuse, but there is a correlation there.
Sure, and it seems like that they recognize that is also good news, because something else to avoid.
Exactly.
I love what you're talking about when you're talking about healthy relationships and just teaching about how to have a healthy relationship. What does that look like? What is that defined as in 2018?
Well, I guess that's a question we could answer on a whole 30-minute show, right?
Yes.
But basically, when we start asking about something as basic as, what is love? What does love really look like? And you start to, field that question in a class, and you can end up talking to them in a very real sense of, well, because this is what we hear a lot. They tell us that, well, my boyfriend says, if you loved me, or my girlfriend says, if you loved me, you would have sex with me. So then you ask the follow-up question, well, do you think that love is pressuring someone to do something that they don't want to do?
Good question.
No, it isn't. So is love respect, right? Respecting the other person's boundaries. So the conversations go along that line. And tragically, sometimes there is sexual abuse, and a young person doesn't even recognize that they are being abused. If you talk to anybody who's dealing with sex trafficking victims, etc., I visited a few agencies that are working with that, and they say these women, these young girls, they don't even know that this is wrong.
Yes, right.
So very sad.
Oh, it's very sad, and that could be another half-hour program, and has been. The other thing I love about this is second chances. The sexual risk avoidance education includes if you have done something that you wish you hadn't have, you can go back. You can start fresh. Let's talk about that message that you give the students.
Oh, yes. And I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's a very important. We're never the ones that say, oh, wow, you had sex when you were 14, your life is over.
Yeah.
No, it's always, hey, you can do this. And we have lots of stories of young people who have decided, after they hear the message and they understand, and we've helped them sort out that head-heart confusion that have decided to wait for sex because now they understand the context for it. So that is a really important aspect of what we teach.
Well, awesome stuff. It's sexual risk avoidance education. Locally, you can contact Pregnancy Choices, Partners for Life. I knew I would get it. It's pcpartnersforlife.org. You can contact them and find out about the Sold Out program. Marianne Mozak with Ascend, thank you for all you do for our greater community.
Well, thank you for having me, and I wish we could even talk longer sometime. This is a big topic.
We'll have you back.
Great.